Hello, everybody. Welcome to Los Socios De Manny, first episode, and it is an honor and a privilege to have Mr. John Fanta here. Broadcasting, you're going to go down as a basketball broadcasting legend, and you're already a Seton Hall, dude, first day on campus. I'm going into the campus, and I'm already hearing about John Fanta everywhere, so this is awesome to have him sitting here. Well, how you doing? Everything good?
I'm sorry to hear that, Manny. No, I wouldn't want to hear about myself all day long. I'm doing well. All is great. Congratulations as you're heading to Seton Hall University, which was such a defining part of my life. So next to marrying my wife, it's the best decision I ever made because it helped pave the way for me in my life, and I know it's going to do the same for you. So it's a wonderful place.
Looking forward to it. Thanks for having us here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's just go back to the roots. Growing up in Cleveland, what was that like?
Well, when you grow up on the west side of Cleveland, Ohio, you quickly learn sports heartbreak. No.
Yes.
You quickly learn Browns, Indians, now Guardians, and Cavs. It's religion.
Yeah.
It's everything. I'm telling you right now, Cleveland Brown Sundays are sacred. You go to church at 9, 10, 11 o'clock, you pray for the Browns, and then you watch them at 1 o'clock. They typically weren't playing in prime time and typically aren't now, so we play at 1 o'clock on Sundays, which was fine. The Indians, now the Guardians. I grew up with Ford C. Frick Award winner Tom Hamilton, who just got inducted in the Hall of Fame for his legendary calls. Tom is the voice of the Guardians. Jim Donovan was the voice of the Browns, and a guy by the name of Joe Tate was the voice of, here's how I fell in love with basketball. I was 7 years old when LeBron James got drafted. Wow. 7. That's my childhood. He was my childhood. He was how I fell in love with basketball. I couldn't take my eyes off this phenom. I tuned in to the Cavaliers every single night that they played because of LeBron James. And to this day, 2007, Palace of Auburn Hills, Eastern Conference Finals, Game 5, when LeBron James scored 25 straight points for the Cavs. It's the best individual basketball performance I've ever seen because he single-handedly won them the game against Chauncey Billups and Rasheed Wallace and Ben Wallace and company. That was growing up in Cleveland. My dad, Jerry, my grandpa, John, I was named after him. They taught me about Cleveland sports, and I would listen or watch a game, and then I'd turn it down for an inning or a quarter, and I'd start broadcasting it myself in the living room.
Nice. I'm glad I'm not the only one. You hear about a lot of people growing up in Cleveland, and that's what it's like. Sports is almost everything over there, and I think that's awesome. So I can't have John Fanta on and not ask him about the Cavs. So real quick, obviously some playoff heartbreak.
Yep.
This past season, great regular season. What do you think's the future outlook for them?
Well, I think for the Cavs, they were not healthy in the playoffs, which was unfortunate because you would have liked to see Darius Garland fully fit into the equation. You would have liked to see Jared Allen and Evan Mobley and how that combination all worked together. And the fact is they weren't, and Donovan Mitchell was battling stuff as well, wear and tear. He tried. I think what's tough is Mitchell's never been to a conference finals. You have that cloud hanging over him. I think Donovan's had an amazing career. He knows he's got to fight through that demon. Kenny Atkins did a remarkable job. Their regular season was absolutely incredible. You win over 60 games, and you start the season the way they did, but it's about the postseason. And I think going into this season, it's not like they had some crazy offseason where they shook things up severely. They did not. They're going to try to mostly run this back. And if they're going to do it, they've got to make a real run. They've got to, at the very least, they got to get to the conference finals.
I agree.
They have to get there. But the question is, can Garland and Mitchell coexist for a run like that? We've never really seen them in the playoffs mesh fully. The Cavs are good defensively. Although I thought they got pushed around. I thought that the Pacers had their way. But to me, the Pacers' length, really defensively, the way the Pacers defended the Cavs had trouble meeting the physicality of the moment again. But remember this, Mobley is still in his early 20s. And Garland is still fairly young as well. But Mobley is a guy that I think could be the untapped guy that gets the Cavs to the next step because he's only 22, 23 years of age. He's already accomplished quite a bit.
Yeah.
And he's still fairly young. I can see how they're running it back and why they're running it back, but you better get it done this upcoming season.
I agree, especially considering the East is so wide open.
Wide
this
open.
Year. So many injuries. And so we'll see. So you grew up in Cleveland. I don't know. I guess for me personally, I don't view New Jersey as this glamorous destination for the whole country to come over. Why did you pick Seton Hall growing up?
Well, it starts with a college counselor, a lady by the name of Linda Gabor at St. Ignatius High School in Cleveland. I was getting ready to go on a college tour to Syracuse, Fordham, St. John's, St. Bonaventure, and Olean. These are all over the place. But along the way, I was going to stop at Fordham and St. John's. And I really liked Fordham. I liked St. John's. They didn't have a ton of broadcasting, but I liked it. Yeah. But as I was going out on the tour, the college counselor handed me a brochure. And she said, you know, you may want to take a look at this place, Seton Hill, when you're heading out there. And I looked at the brochure. I said, it says here Seton Hall. There is a Seton Hill. Yeah. This was Seton Hall. I said, it says here Seton Hall. She goes, oh, yeah, Seton Hall. If she never hands me that brochure, I don't find Seton Hall.
Wow.
So my dad drove me out to Seton Hall. We had just toured Fordham and St. John's, and we drove over to little South Orange, New Jersey. And we get to the campus, and I see Big East. And I see we're a 35-minute train ride to Madison Square Garden. And I get told we have more internship opportunities than students. Mm-hmm. That's a good thing.
That's a great thing, yeah.
Because I knew I could get internship opportunities. And I did. I interned at Westwood One Radio, which was so cool because they did the NFL. I helped produce the NFL Today on the radio. And it was a lot of work, but it was amazing. With the voice of NFL film, Scott Graham. And I interned for CNBC, and I interned for Fox Sports. That was all made possible by Seton Hall. But why Seton Hall? When I stepped inside the gates, all their people kept saying, how can we help you? And I would always say, what can I do to pay you back? And they say, pay it forward to someone who needs it down the road. That is the Seton Hall way. That's the pirate way. It's what I fell in love with the place. And what I thought was I could get opportunities as a freshman. Other places said to me, we can get you on the air when you're a junior. I would have struggled to wait around for 2 years doing nothing or just doing behind the scenes. I did behind the scenes work. I produced stuff. I did camera work. I did video editing. But I learned a lot. And that's all I wanted. I wanted an opportunity. Seton Hall gave me the opportunity to thrive. And as a result, I traveled over half the country covering pirate sports. I went to Hawaii, Arizona, Florida, Texas, California. We went all over the country covering the Pirates, and that's because Seton Hall gave me the chances to do it with the Pirate Sports Network, with Pirate Television, with WSOU 89.5 FM.
Yes, sir. So this question is a little bit for me, but also for those watching, but obviously I'm going to try to pick your brain a little bit here. What advice do you have for students going into Seton Hall, or any school for that matter, that want to get into the sportscasting business?
Well, I say it to any student going to any school. Say yes. Mm-hmm. Make relationships. Keep phone numbers. Keep emails. You never know how those people could help you. You never know the recommendation those people could supply. They're a phone call away. They're a connection. You don't make a connection and just say to someone, can you get me a job? Mm-hmm. Get to know them first. Start to learn who they are. Get to know them on a first-name basis. Mm-hmm. Talk with them. Don't just ask for something right away. Develop that relationship. At Seton Hall, get involved. Mm-hmm. I did the radio station. I wrote for the Setonian. I did Pirate Television. I, of course, did the Pirate Sports Network, where I interviewed players, basketball players after games. I did play-by-play for women's basketball, soccer, baseball, softball. I covered golf and tennis, cross country. I didn't know much about them, but if there was an opportunity, I just said yes. Mm-hmm. And that's what carried me through. I never did play-by-play for swimming and diving before I got to Seton Hall. I did at Seton Hall because it helped me. It helped me get into environments that I wouldn't have been in otherwise. And as a result, I got a job with the Big East. The Big East said, this kid does tennis and golf and cross country and soccer and swimming and diving. Yeah, we want him for basketball, but we need somebody for all the sports that we offer. And that was it. Lacrosse, I didn't know the next thing about lacrosse, but I did it. Say yes. Don't be afraid to say hi to people, make connections, and make yourself uncomfortable, meaning I had never produced a game. I had never run a camera before. Mm-hmm. My story at Seton Hall is this. I was a cameraman for a soccer game. And the soccer game got postponed today due to weather. So I showed up the next day to be the cameraman. The play-by-play announcer couldn't make it. He had car issues. They were going to tap into the WSOU feed, that audio feed. WSOU had a busy day that day. They were traveling with another sports team, and they had a lot going on their airwaves. They didn't have broadcasters there. So the head of the sports information department walked up to me and said, listen, I've heard about 2 minutes of your football tape. Can you call this soccer game in 5 minutes? I said yes. And when I got done, they said, when can you be back? I said, whenever you need me. You never know when being available could lead you to a job.
Wow. That's awesome. So you did all of that, right? In college, all these different sports. You got an internship that you mentioned, worked for the Big East. Was there, whether it's one of those moments that you mentioned, but was there a defining moment for you in your career where you were like, okay, like this is going to be where I make a living, or like I made it?
Well, when Seton Hall won the Big East Tournament Championship in 2016, and I was on the floor of Madison Square Garden going one-on-one with Isaiah Whitehead, who was a Brooklyn kid and had just won it in New York City, I thought to myself, this is the coolest gig in America. This is so cool. Then I got to intern at Fox Sports. I got to interact with guys like Pete Rose and Rob Stone and Kevin Burkhardt and Chris Myers, Frank Thomas, Dontrell Willis. I turned 21 that summer in LA. It was a good summer. It was a summer that made me think, man, you know, this is really something. But then I think when you walk into Madison Square Garden and do a telecast, do a basketball game on national TV, it hits you. I just did a game from the world's most famous arena, the most famous arena of them all. Never take that for granted.
True.
That for me, you know, I did St. John's Fordham, St. John's Iona, and then this past year I did Creighton and St. John's. And that was a game that ended up being a preview of the Big East Tournament Championship game. The Garden was sold out. You couldn't hear yourself think, and I'm doing the game on TV. Those moments make you say, Mama, I made it, you know, and what I set out to do, the dream's coming true. And you do it with humility, and I get to work with amazing partners. You know, sitting down and doing a game with Bill Raftery.
Yeah.
Those are the moments, that moment, I did that game in Connecticut. That moment made me say, yeah, this is the dream. It's coming true.
That's awesome. So just about wrapping up, what's one thing about the business that perhaps you wish you knew before you got into it that goes under the radar that you think could help somebody who's younger?
Well, one thing that somebody told me, and I thought it made total sense, and it does today. Only one person gets to be the play-by-play guy on a game.
Yeah.
Only one person gets to be the analyst on a game. Sometimes there's a three-man booth. But early on in my career, when I got stuff, I was overjoyed. When you don't get a gig, you're obviously down. But you have to remember, you're competing with a lot of people to get something. Don't take it personally. Move on to the next thing. Move on to the next opportunity. That would be my advice. And my other advice would be, I interned at CNBC. I didn't know the first thing about financial news. I still don't. But I got out of my comfort zone, and it confirmed that I didn't really want to get involved. But for some people, it confirmed that they did want to get involved. Try things. Now is the chance to try things. Early in your career, I've been asked to cover horse racing and tennis and different sports and different events that I didn't even know existed. But you do it because you might find out that, hey, I called bowling the last couple of years for Fox. I didn't have any aspiration to call bowling. But one, it made money for me. And two, I discovered a sport that I now love, and I love the fans. Never say no. But realize if you do get denied something, or if somebody says, hey, the job isn't yours, keep chipping away. Keep trying to be the best version of yourself.
No doubt.
You're not competing with another broadcaster. You're competing with yourself. You're telling yourself, how am I going to be better tomorrow? That's my advice for people. Don't get down when somebody tells you feedback. Don't get down when somebody tells you could have been better. Don't get down when you have a bad show. Don't get down when you don't get the job. Get back up. Keep going.
Awesome. So we'll end with this. Maybe you don't know the specific answer to this, or you don't have it yet, but what is the end goal for John Fanta in the broadcasting field, perhaps 30, 40 years from now?
Well, I'm a husband and a father, so for my wife putting up with my crazy schedule, still be married. No, I'm just kidding. But I think it's the goal is to make sure that when I stepped on the air, the viewers and the listeners knew how much I cared. Because if I'm sitting down for a game, I want to see the same passion. I want to hear the same passion. I want them to say he didn't mail it in. I want people to enjoy the work I do. And, I don't think about legacy or that history in the now. But I think what I want people to say 30, 40 years from now is that I was enjoyable to work with, the people that I worked with. My goal always is to be nice to people. I think you can do two things in life. You can treat people the right way, and you can outwork people. And I try to be a tireless worker, and I try to get better at my craft because you're never perfect. And you make mistakes. I make mistakes. I'm flawed. I do things wrong. I want to hear how I can get better. You strive for that. That's your drive. But I think 30, 40 years from now, I want people to say, he wasn't a fake. Who I am off the air, as you guys know, is who I am on the air.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
Who you are off the air is who you are on the air. And sure, I want to call big games, and I want to call national championship games someday, and I want to do selection Sunday, and I got goals. But if I don't accomplish all those goals, that's okay. That's part of the industry. But what the goal I do want to accomplish is that if you worked with me, you enjoyed it. If you listened to her or watched me, you enjoyed your time doing so. And I never want to lose who I am. I never want to lose the roots I grew up with in Northeast Ohio and the things I learned at Seton Hall. I'm a man of faith, man of God. I believe that things happen for a reason. How that life goes, that life journey goes, we'll see. But what I can control is how I treat people and how I work these games. I want people 30, 40 years from now to say, he did it the right way. That's what you strive to do. You do things the right way, and you do things the authentic way. I always want to be authentic to the viewers and honest to the viewers.
Awesome. So there's no doubt, at least from what I can see, that you're well on your way towards that.
Thank you.
One thing I want to say thank you for is that exactly that. The same guy I watch through a television screen, through on my phone, because I love keeping up with your Instagram, is the same exact guy in person. There's no doubt about that. Thank you for having us, for having me.
Thank you, Manny.
It was truly a pleasure. Thanks for coming on, John. We'll be back. Socios De Manny, first episode, already off to a hot start.